Hello! Happy July! Back on my bullshit. And, yes, this is my last Superflight video. I will get to that in the last topic. But before I do that, I just want to mention that by the time you're watching this was recorded over a week ago, and, yeah, that's all I wanted to mention. But since, you know, the actual the Superflight video before this one was already done in June, but, you know, wanted to keep them, like, you know, more spread out anyway with the monthly shit. Anyways, yeah, let me just talk about it. Why is this the last Superflight? Well, let me start by saying, well, one of the two reasons, which is there's a smaller reason and a bigger reason. And the smaller reason is that, hang on, I have to do the pause thing. No, wait, let me get a new map. Alright. This is all a distraction. I have limited mental energy, and, like, you know, I work best as a unitasker. I've said this before. I'm just not good at, like, juggling things, and maybe you'd like me to elaborate more. And it's like, why is that? Why can't... Certainly you can, like, I don't know, in the morning, take a shower while brush your teeth or some shit like that. No, it's not that literal. I mean, like, in a more broader sense. Like, I was able to finish Stickman 2020 and just go all in on that, but I didn't really do any other series around that. It was my only focus was on Stickman 2020, and you saw how that fell apart when I tried to introduce Patreon exclusive videos or something, and saw that it was hard for me to split my mental energy between those Patreon videos and the actual Stickman 2020 series, besides, you know, many months-long hiatus before I finally resurfaced in December and finished off with the Scalpers video and Bankrupt. But, yeah, the real thing of what's the root cause of all that, I've been trying to find the words for it, but I finally figured it out. It's basically because I have terrible anxiety of leaving anything else unfinished. I don't know what it is. I just can't juggle things. I can't start a million things and leave them all unfinished. That shit just bothers me intensely, really badly. I need to go back and finish things properly, whether I, like, properly declare them as a dead project or, you know, actually go and finish them. I just hate leaving stones unturned. Well, that's a stupid analogy, a stupid saying, but what I mean is that, like, yeah, I guess it's just some sort of mental obsession or tick. Well, tick is not the right word, but it's like some just obsession of just, like, I just can't leave these things unresolved. I have to go and finish everything through and through before I move up and on to the next thing. I mean, I could... Well, not actually, I don't really know if I could, but part of me thinks that I could defy that rule and force myself into juggling 3 things at once or something, but I don't know. When I'm on autopilot, or at least, like, when I've been released out into the world again without any sort of, like, structure of school that was forced onto me, it's very hard for me to find my way again. And, you know, I'm not here to, like, enable the people saying, oh, I told you so, I told you school is good for you, or some shit. I still believe that for my specific case, I probably would have liked to never have gone to college, but, you know, we're not gonna talk about what's done, right? College is over. Move on. Time to move on now. You know, I'm still got fucking years of my life. It's not like I wasted everything. But, yeah, which does mean, lately with all, like, you know, my recent bender with DSiWare and 3DSware and Pop Island and all that, you know, the Cube Penguin games and all that, Cube Penguin on a surfboard to be specific. Right, is that it's all basically been a distraction because finding a job lately, there's been some weird awkward points where I have to sit around and wait for something to happen before I can move on to this other thing of job searching, and there's all these weird irregularities with my schedule. You might have had this problem too, like maybe you're in school and, like, you're given an assignment, you're given, like, several math homework assignments that are, like, due maybe 1, 2, and 3 days from now, and then at the same time you're given a big paper that's due 6 days from now. But the fact that you have, like, this giant assignment that's due 6 days from now while you have these other things to do might make you freeze up or not know how to, like, divvy up the work well without, like, a ton of beforehand preparation. Maybe you don't relate to that, but that's basically how it's been for some weird reason. I don't want to get into specifics about what's going on with job stuff without doxing myself, but basically I'm at an awkward waiting point. And so while I was waiting, I just cranked out a shit ton of Jinjo gaming with the Pop Island stuff just to, like, kill time and feel like, you know, that I'm still doing something. Even though it is technically a distraction and I could be doing something else that that might be like cut off and not ever be used anyway, job-wise, right? But yeah, basically, I'm just afraid of like trying to do anything else job-wise while I wait for this job-wise thing to finish or conclude or whatever, the speculation or whatnot. And no, it's not me waiting to hear back for like an application or interview. I know that by default those companies aren't like required to give you a response in a timely manner of if or whether you did or did not get the job. I'm talking about like something completely different. It's a really weird scenario. So this has been basically a distraction, and so while you might fail to see how that directly ties into Superflight, since I haven't been cranking out Superflight videos, it does go into the third topic of this video that I will talk about soon, which is the main reason of why I want to stop making these Superflight videos. But first, we're gonna go on a tangent. Tangent. Yay, tangent. Here's a tangent. How to learn anything. So, random thing I wanted to talk about, since, you know, this is my last Superflight video. I did want to share this sort of, like, epiphany about learning things that I figured out with my weird learning style. Well, not my weird learning style, but my weird behavior of only doing things one at a time and being afraid to start new things and leave them unfinished. It is that, I tend to learn things the best that have the most, like, documentation or YouTube tutorials that you can binge through before you can go ahead and experiment blindly. Because chances are, if you wanted to learn something like, let's say, drawing or music or something, and you ask like a really good artist or a really good musician, how do I do that? And they might have the best intentions when they say, just start drawing or just start making music. You know, you and I both know very well that advice just doesn't do jack shit. Right? It's like, well, okay, fuck, let me get my pencil and paper. Oh, let me draw really shitty for like a year, completely unguided. But he says, just keep drawing. Okay, I'll just keep drawing without any sort of guidance or advice or whatever. And too bad that artist or musician that told me the advice didn't tell me anything in context that maybe I'm supposed to know, even though I'm not. And it's kind of rich to think that I know that, oh, you should also do like read a book here and there, or look at this tutorial or something. Not to fault the musician or artist, but you know, because they're busy, you know, being a musician or artist. Not everyone is a teacher. Some people are just busy perfecting their own craft and whatever. But I'd like to come in and tell you, like, I've kind of, ever since I've had like these several months of not being able to do anything, I've been able to look back and kind of analyze about myself of what has worked, and maybe it'll work for you too. So, how to learn anything. So, let's say you want to learn a specific thing. Well, the first step is to like identify your options. I'm going to speak in the context of like learning a program or something, right? Let's say you have multiple options for a program, right? And you say, okay, this one costs money, this one is maybe free but it's clunkier, or maybe this one is also free but only on this operating system or whatever else, and you weigh all these options. Try to pick the option that has the biggest, I don't want to say community, but just the most amount of various tutorials on how to literally do anything in that program. Whether it's like, you know, for music production, like if you're not comfortable with, you're not sure what to pick of what workstation software you want to pick, just pick Fruity Loops and ignore the weird elitist experts that say, oh, don't worry, don't pick FL Studio, bro. That shit isn't industry standard. You should pick Ableton or some shit, or whatever the elitism around that is, or whatever. Like, granted, if you want to pick a harder music program in exchange, finding instead like a synth that has a synth is like, you know, a smaller part of inside the program, like a smaller portion of inside the program that has community backing, and just have a thing around it, maybe not have as many tutorials to learn, just so it's like easier to carry across different music making programs. Maybe even it'll land you a job or something, then yeah, go right ahead. But like, for the purposes of this example, and if you didn't get a word of any of that analogy, don't worry about that. What I'm basically saying is, unless you have a special circumstance not to, just go with the option that is the most like, that has the most tutorials for that you can just do, which is by basically, you know, just, oh shit, type the program into YouTube, or, you know, type the hobby or whatever into YouTube or Google, and, you know, the specific options you have for it, and see how many tutorials for each pop up, and you can see like all these various things that you can mindlessly follow and do. Because the second step is to, once you pick your program or hobby or whatever, just go through all the tutorials, hopefully there's a lot of them, and just every day just do one and just mindlessly do it. Step 2B for that part, part of step 2 is don't think about what you can make, or don't get lost. Don't even dream up ideas of what you can make with this hobby or whatever. You're gonna get discouraged early on if you think too much about, oh, I wish I wasn't learning this and I could get started on my dream project. No. Tell your brain to shut up and just do as many of these tutorials as you can. Just blindly do them. Just step by step, one after the other, make various things with your program or hobby, and just like see what happens after like maybe a month or 2 months of you just following tutorial after tutorial blindly. And you'll start to notice, right, if you do it consistently, because you have to do it consistently. If you only do like one tutorial a week, or maybe one tutorial every 3 days, you might not see the results as fast. But do what you can with the time that you have, right? Sorry about the burp. You'll notice though, like if you just follow these tutorials blindly, is that the program or the hobby start to click for you. You'll start to notice things across the tutorials and all that stuff, and things you might learn about things about the hobby or the program that you didn't really get from a single video. Something you learned while doing all of them, and that's the key. Because then, at some point when you're just doing tutorial after tutorial, these random different follow the steps blindly projects, you will start to pick up on all the little nuances and workflows and controls or whatever of how things are made in the program or hobby that you want to do. And then and only then can you decide, okay, I'm ready. You can veer away from those tutorials and programs and just start, not tutorials and programs, veer away from those tutorials and just open your program or your hobby and just experiment. And then it makes sense, then the artist or musician says just draw or make music make sense, because then from there on out, sorry about the misspeak, it's just you experimenting and just figuring out what to do, because you actually have a baseline of how things work, and you're not just immediately thrown into the water and being told, just swim, bro, without, being told how to fucking swim, right? So, I kind of wish I, realized that's how I was learning things the whole time, because for a while I couldn't figure out why I could learn this thing from early on, but I can't learn this thing as well. And I've said it before, but for my particular case, the reason why I couldn't learn anything new is because I had unresolved anxieties about my YouTube videos and 3D and stuff. But once I figured all that shit out, then I suddenly I was suddenly open to trying out all these different things again. But lately, I haven't been able to do that just because of, specific circumstances of just having this job stress, and I'm afraid of starting to pick up on anything until I, solve this one problem of, establishing an economic not economic backing, just establishing a foothold in the world, namely, the job, before I can worry about, learning any new hobbies, or more specifically, getting back to wave drift stuff. So that's kind of been my situation. However, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to tell you how I learn anything, since this year has just been me making these Superflight videos and reflecting on what I've been doing mindlessly for the past 5 or even 10 years. I can just kind of actually realize things and take my lessons and pass them on to people and save them from the years of experimenting or hitting your head against the wall that I've done, So I hope that advice helps you, for anyone who wants to learn anything. Right? Because obviously when people try to guess why other people don't learn things, they're going to say some shit like, oh, people are lazy, they just don't want to put in the time. People do want to put in the time. You probably do want to put in the time to learn how to do a thing. You just don't fucking know how, because the person you looked up to just said, lol, just go do it, pick up a pencil, bro. That's not going to fucking help. Right? But, yeah, you just have to, don't look for a new, program or a hobby specifically to open up and just experiment and wing it, and you'll find yourself somewhere, right? That's not how every single program goes, right? Try to find a massive gold mine of tutorials, whether it is for a specific program, or if it's something like a drawing program, maybe just a specific gold mine of drawing tutorial or type of drawing tutorial that you can just do all these different video tutorials of, that will help you just kind of learn on your own, and eventually finally leave those, ooh, this is a cool map, leave those video tutorials and oh shit, I'm trying to save it. Leave those video tutorials and what the fuck is save map? Here we go. Here's a seed if you want to play that at home. But yeah, the point is that at some point, once you do all those video tutorials blindly, then you can, like, you know, leave them and experiment for a bit, which leads me to the last step. The last step is if you ever feel stuck, like I have lately, right? If you feel stuck in the things that you're doing and you're like, shit, I've been doing this thing for so long, I found some success, but I feel like I'm stuck, then you're gonna have to do a very important thing. You're gonna have to swallow your pride and rinse and repeat. You gotta go back to the tutorials, you gotta relearn things, you gotta update your workflows. It's a stupid thing, sound like a businessman. You basically have to do the tutorial binge again until you feel comfortable to throw yourself back out there, feeling refreshed and wanting to experiment blindly, you know? And yeah, so to sum it all up, since I kind of repeated myself a bunch, if you have something you want to learn, program or hobby, right? First, pick whichever program or hobby has the most tutorials for it, where, you know, if it's for 3D, Blender has a shit ton of tutorials for a free program. If it's art, maybe you want to look for tutorials based on a certain kind of drawing, because since all art programs might have like a similar overlap, whether it's Krita or Clip Studio Paint or whatever the fuck. Or maybe you do want to, like, maybe pick Clip Studio Paint over Krita if one has more tutorials than the other or something. But once you figure that out, what you want to do is find that gold mine of tutorials and just do them consistently and blindly without thinking about your dream projects for as long as you can until you learn, like, the hobby or program in isolation and you feel comfortable enough to, like, you know, venture out on your own to do that dream project or do stuff on your own that doesn't have a tutorial for it, you know? And if you ever stuck after doing that for a while, you just have to go back, do the tutorial thing again, and throw yourself back into the world and keep going, you know? That's my spiel of how to learn anything. And so the very last thing I want to close out on before I move on to, you know, the reason why I'm really stopping these Superflight videos is a warning, right? So that learning style I mentioned, right, it works, but just keep in mind that if you decide to pursue one of those things for a living, be careful about going to any sort of industry that might be, like, really high stress, or like the kind of things where it's like, yeah, you can do art in this industry, but if you slow down for 1 second, you're a goner or something, because chances are at some point, if you decide to, like, learn something that way, and it's something you do as a hobby or something you enjoy, and then you try to turn it into a job, and then suddenly you're finding yourself in a creative dead end and you have to start doing tutorials again, you might not be able to if you're, like, doing it for a job and suddenly you're being pressured more and more to just, like, learn faster while also creating things for people and working and all that stuff, and dead end, and, you know, it's like that sounded more coherent in my head. But basically what I'm saying is just watch out for if you want to do this for a living, just watch out for the high stress intensity stuff. Only go for, like, I guess, what's an example? Maybe video game industry or something. Like, if you want to become a video game artist, just watch out for how cutthroat it can get, because, like, when it's like an industry like that that's, like, banking on your raw skill or something, you might get left behind if it's time for you to go back and relearn the tutorials. Alright, I'm rambling too long on this one. Let's go to the next one. The final thing of the day. Let me make sure I got the here. Tutorials, possibilities, repetitive, you're off track. Okay, yeah, I got everything. So let's get a new map. I'll call this blah, 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 blah. There. Ooh, smoggy. So basically, the last timestamp. Why I'm stopping these Superflight videos. It comes down to the fact that I'm basically oversharing my life. So this all comes from a recent incident, right? Now, once I share the details of this incident, I know people who are watching this are probably going to find out who did this, or, like, you know, they're going to go searching for it and maybe find, like, the actual incident itself. To which I say, don't do that, right? Because the person that caused this incident, it's not that person's fault. Otherwise, I would have said something. It's about the bigger picture at hand. So with that disclaimer out of the way, I'll reiterate on that later. Let me tell you what happened. So basically, I saw someone cracking yet another joke about me about how, look at this thing. It's just about as dead as George's YouTube channel, or his ability to render anything in Blender 3D this year. Haha, you know, funny joke, because I've been, you know, busy. Like I said, the whole one task at a time thing. My mind is so occupied by trying to find a job or even figure out what I want in a job that it's hard for me to do any other hobbies lately, right? And so, haha, funny joke. I haven't done any 3D lately, and you know, I decided, like, even though jokes like that aren't that uncommon for me, I decided to, like, say that one time, like, how do you know the last time I did render something, as, you know, just like a fun little retort. And then the person fired back with something along the lines of, George, you are an open book. I can clearly see that you're bluffing, or something along those lines, right? I don't remember the exact words, but the open book part, that fucking terrified me, right? Because for the longest time, and I've probably said this indirectly with these Superflight videos, I make it a point to, like, not a point, but I make a very strong effort to be an open book. Like, I want to share as much as about myself so people know what's going on in my life and what's going on in my videos, just so people are in the know and can fully understand my perspective and all that. And here is someone who has just proclaimed that they can use this open bookness that I strive for. They can take it and use it to joke about my insecurities at my expense, right? So now you're thinking, that piece of shit, let me go lynch him, let me go find him, piece of fucking, let's nail him to a cross or something. It's like, no, don't do that, right? Here's the thing. It's not the person's fault that they did that, because you may go and try to, like, chase down this one person for cracking a joke like that, but the fact of the matter is, it's not going to be the only person, right? These Superflight videos are not exclusive to anybody. They're out on the internet. They're on YouTube. People who watch my main channel, Wave Troll, are going to, at some point sooner or later, find these videos, right? And then the fact that my information is out there at all, it's on them. They can do whatever they like with it, right? With it, you know, just whatever they get from my Superflight videos and my struggles and whatever else, right? It's information. They have it. They're probably gonna use it if they want, right? Because otherwise, you basically start putting rules on the internet or start over controlling the internet too much, and it's like, then it kind of kills the point of the internet. Not saying to, like, advocate for shit that's obviously gross or illegal, but I mean, like, you know, things about, like, joking about people's insecurities. If it's a total stranger on the internet, there's nothing you can do, right? As opposed to, you know, someone maybe who's in your same group chat or some other shit. Fuck. But yeah, I should have known this, right? Because I don't really want to be an open book anymore, if it means that this is a possibility of me, like, you know, just opening up about my life, and people can just as easily use that to roast things that I'm not comfortable about being joked about. Like, I really fucking try to not be fazed by anything, but truth be told, it fucking hurts, dude, right? It fucking hurts. So, even though I've kind of gotten used to the George doesn't do 3D in 2021 jokes, or haha, no Wavetro upload this year jokes, just the fact that, like, behind it, the intention is that you can just take these parts I've shared about my life, that I intended to share about my life, so that people can understand more about my videos or what I do, and instead use that to understand, like, what haunts me or what scares me or some shit, and then joke about it to make me uncomfortable. It's fucking terrifying, and I only have myself to blame for that, for even sharing that in the first place, right? So I don't want to do these videos anymore. So don't get me wrong, though, right? This wasn't like a mistake to begin with, or any of that shit, right? The Superflight videos gave me, like, a much needed outlet, like, back then, because, like, when I finished Stickman 2020, you saw it leaking out in, like, leaking, but I don't know if that's the right word. You saw, like, something pushing out from my emotions or whatever in, like, the ending of Stickman 2020 with the bankrupt scene with a really long news intro, or the piles of Superflight videos in the past year or so, right? That was a much needed outlet. Like, I've never gone to tell anyone what was on my mind, and now it feels like I've basically told everyone that's kind of on my mind. Like, I'm noticing now that, like, all my current problems and possibly all my future problems are going to be rehashes of what I've already said on these Superflight videos. Like, I've covered all my bases, and what's more, I've also, like, you know, did the Ginger Mail series as much as I've wanted to or am capable of, you know. And I've done everything I wanted to do with this series, and now it basically just exists. Oh, excuse me. Just sort of as, like, a nice to have, as a sort of look at George sharing his thoughts about stuff again, you know. But the subject matter of it, like, you know, the Superflight videos, they're not of exactly a happy, upbeat, mindless thing to watch, you know. It's me unpacking very intimate parts of my life and putting them into a video, usually, and yeah, it's like, now that I have nothing more on my mind that I'm dying to share, dying for people to know, it's like, why should I keep around anymore if people are just going to use that to joke about things that I can't handle? So the answer to that is, if you can't handle it, why put it out on the internet? And you know what? You're right. No one actually said that, by the way. That was just the thought process. That's why I addressed it as you, right? But shit, did I forget something? I have the piece of paper again. I'm gonna fly around a bit while I try to catch up. What did I say? Yeah, don't get me wrong, right? Like I said before, I still think regular uploads are important, just because, like, YouTube videos or videos as a whole, just a great way of, like, you know, expressing yourself online that isn't as vapid or, like, out of context to take as, like, making Twitter posts or Discord messages. Like, someone has to sit down and watch a video and get all the context and not accidentally misinterpret things or something, right? But well, now before I get into the but, the other thing I want to add to that is, like, I've also liked lately I've also really enjoyed making less vulnerable videos, like, you know, just like the shit like the Pop Island, where, you know, I'm not talking about what's gotten me down or whatever. I'm just like gaming with gaming and really just mostly talking about, you know, the game itself, and maybe having a friend on lately, but maybe other people on too, of just, you know, me just gaming or whatever. That one random ice dodo video I did, where it was kind of like getting into my life, but it was just like, you know, it wasn't that deep. It was just me complaining about video editors or some shit, not about, like, you know, my inability to multitask. It slowly causing a domino effect to the point where I start getting clowned on for not being able to make 3D videos, which fucking hurts me, you know. But yeah, I like just like doing simpler shit, and that's probably what I'm gonna do more of going forward. Yeah, fuck! I lost myself on lost my place on this piece of paper. Hang on. Yeah, I think I got everything. So I don't want to be this vulnerable with videos anymore. Like, I'm glad I got to, even, because, you know, it was only one incident that set off this whole thing, right? I'm glad that some people even got to see this part of me, to know what's going on in my head and all that. And, you know, rest assured, this is more or less what, you know, my life is like going forward, with struggles and thought processes and all that, right? But it's gonna hurt less if I just stop the videos now, and then suddenly when someone tries to clown on me saying, remember back then when you didn't make videos or some shit? It's like, yeah, I didn't make videos, and it doesn't hurt as much because it's not the present, right? Because this is sort of like a temporary situation I'm in, right? I don't want really people to just make fun of me at this low point that I'm sad about, you know? And so I don't do myself any favors by just making Superflight videos on it, where I just go into detail about what bothers me, so someone can, like, create something that can easily, like, you know, read me like an open book and know exactly how to just make me sad, right? Why put it out there, right? Try to be a Superman, and not a Superman. Try to be like there's no word for it. I've just tried to be invincible to any sort of criticisms about me, but some things just get through to me, and this has been one of them. So yeah, Superflight has ran its course. I've said everything I want to say on it. I've done as much as I want to do with it, and now it's just kind of, all that it leaves is just this vulnerability that I want to patch up. So best to end the show. And more importantly, which also connects back to the first reason, right? These Jinjo videos are basically a distraction. I like to tie the loose ends and like try to conclude Jinjo video series, I'll put that in quotes, series, and put closure on them, so I can maybe face my job shit more directly, right? It's all, I know that explanation earlier was complicated, but it basically helps me to, like, tie off these loose ends with the Jinjo shit. With ending it so I can, like, you know, give myself less of a reason to procrastinate my future responsibilities and all that shit. And yeah, that's about it. Let's go to the outro. Call this one outro. So yeah, that's the final Superflight video. Thank you for watching, like, these past few months. I don't think it's been a full year, but if you've been watching all the way, I'm glad that you know, got to go on this journey of through my head with me. That, you know, like I said, I'm not upset that I ever posted these videos. You know, it's important that I told somebody about all this shit that I walk around in my head day to day. And now that I basically told all of it, you know, no point keeping it around further. So I'm gonna leave these videos up, obviously. I'm not gonna, like, unlist them or make them go private unless they, like, dox me or some shit, which I'm pretty sure none of them do. But if this channel ever seems to go dead, right, if this, like, at some point this year or whatever else, it seems to just, like, stop uploading regularly, like, there really isn't much of an upload schedule on here, right? I mean, maybe there's at least a video a month, but even if that, like, you know, there's no, for the most part, there is no video schedule on here. But for whatever the case, if this channel seems to just die or something, right, just know that that means I finally figured out, like, a better place for my focus and energy to go, and I can rest. You can be rest assured that I'm probably a better person for whatever else I'm focusing on, instead of, you know, procrastinating with a Pop Island or a Superflight video. But yeah, like I said, I'll leave these videos up. Like, it'd be really weird, like maybe a year from now, where suddenly even more people find these these fucking videos or some shit. But I may never get this intimate about myself again, you know. But that's okay. I think these videos will suffice enough, because like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna, whatever I say in these videos, my struggles and whatever, probably aren't gonna change that much. Well, maybe not. Maybe, like, some things are, like, temporary, but, like, you can get a basic idea of what, you know, who I am and, like, all that. And it's gonna bother me less if I just let these videos age and become, like, an older glimpse into myself, rather than continuously making them and putting myself in, like, more crosshairs of people that wanna clown on me for things that I can't handle being clowned on about. So, simple answer: just stop putting out that information. Right? Just stop oversharing about your life, and stop trusting the internet with so much of this intimate shit about yourself, because internet does what the internet does, right? They make jokes about shit to forget about their own problems in their day-to-day lives, malicious or benign, right? And if it was different any other way, then it wouldn't be the internet. It would just be as boring and controlled and as suffocating as real life, right? Well, not literally. I'm not saying that real life is worse than the internet, but you know what I mean. Yeah. That's gonna do it. Right. Thank you, and I'll see you around.